Can't chill. Sauce me up. Whoa, sauce me up. Sauce me up. Bitch. Sauce me up. Goddamn. Sauce me up. It's dripping. Whoa, sauce me up. Bitch. Sauce me up. It's dripping. Hold up. Sauce me up. Sauce me up. Whoa, sauce me up. Sauce me up. Bitch. Sauce me up. Goddamn.
One of the best things about Hashhole Island is that it brings the innovators and the culture together. I got to sit down with founder of Organitips, Dustyn Gonzalez, as we chop it up, take down a doink, and talk about the solutions that he brought to scale.
I mean, that's the beauty about just being in one place, bro. You never know what you're gonna fucking run into. All of the different perspectives that you have, man. Like, I walk by your booth, you have just a bunch of people looking at the different models, and there's wood and glass, but different specs all within those two categories, man. Tell me a little bit about why you came out with the glass tip, because the wood has been such an awesome SKU for you guys. Tell me a little bit about the thought on that.
Well, I mean, with the glass, the main reason is because I have customers like, bro, if you would have these specs on glass tips, we would buy them from you. Because we have customers that specifically only want glass.
Yes.
And we would rather buy them from you in this spec that we're used to rolling with, exact to that spec, and then all we have to do is just switch it to glass. Nothing else changes.
Nothing else changes. That's it. So you just met the demand because people have trust in you as a company. Your brand has reputation. Your brand has scalability. Like, you're clearly out there, so people asking for this SKU, you adapted.
Exactly.
Right? And now you're not just adapting, you're innovating a specific type of glass tip with a potential, replacement for the filter inside.
Right, exactly.
Right?
So
It's
if
like,
people want to reuse them, that's up to them.
Yeah.
We're so inexpensive that I feel like most people are going to throw them away. But there's always, I know how it is. Sometimes you need to get a couple more uses out of it. So that'll give them the option.
absolutely.
know?
Right? You're getting the option. You can get that custom logo on there too, bro, which I love. I mean, brand representation at any sort of specific type, even if it's on the paper of the tip, man, like that's memorable, right?
Exactly.
And like you said, there's people that want to replicate smoking like a connoisseur. They want to touch the nuances of these little experiences, and just like that, bro, that's a perfectly rolled doink right there, man. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, Ray's rolls hooked this one up, man. He always comes through when we're out here.
Yeah.
Blesses me with a roll. I was like, I got this new size right here, 13 millimeter. He was like, bro, I've been waiting so long. And then he came back and was like, first one I rolled, this one's for you. I was like, good looking out, bro. And he barred it too. Like, it's super.
Oh, no,
super
I can see that, bro. It's creaseless. It's beautiful.
Went through on the folds.
Beautiful folds.
No creases in the folds.
Damn.
I'm ready to try it. I told him I was gonna smoke it by myself, but you know what? I was like, nah, we're gonna smoke this with my boy.
Hell yeah. So, Hashhole Island, CGO, bro, like, he's built such a community around this connoisseur grade of consumption, right? We talk about quality and the science of smokability and like what makes quality. We talked about paper. We talked about tips, right? We talked about combustion, all these different factors. Now, I would love to ask you the same question, man. Like, coming from the tip side of the manufacturing world, what type of paper would you say burns better?
Man, my go-to, my daily driver, Element 300s. Okay. Because they'll fit with my 11 millimeter, which is the size that I go to for my daily smokes. Stays consistent, and it closes and still be chunky with enough room to close it.
Yes.
Because it won't be too small, won't be too big, and I'll still have just enough paper to close it, not too much overlap. So yeah, I go with the Elements, bro. I like Raw, I like Vibes. I fuck with all of them.
Yeah.
Like, there's no certain paper company that I would choose over another, only for the reason that is the one I like to smoke.
Because it actually functions with the tip that you're rolling with on your daily.
Right, and I like it. And it burns clean, and it's
Right.
like, I'm not saying this because I like the company. I don't have one thing that I like more about the company itself. It's the damn paper, bro.
Yeah.
Like, that paper is that's my thing.
It's consistent. You can expect a certain burn process, and the quality is there every time.
For sure.
Okay, because I found it fascinating when you can see I guess the designs in the paper, right? It can cause a different burn, and it's fascinating to see how each manufacturer takes their approach to that different design, that imprint on the paper.
Right. I can only imagine having to go through and try every different pattern until you find the pattern that you really like.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, that's going to consist of more than just having one paper done. They're going to be like, okay, well, we're going to have to do 1,000 of these papers. Then you have to smoke 1,000 of each design. Now you have real quality to go off after you smoke 1,000 of them. You know what I mean? You're not going to smoke one and be like, oh, that's the one. Nah, let's go through 1,000 of those, maybe for a whole year of the top 5 that we like.
Exactly.
And then see which one we're going to pick out.
So talk to us about your journey with the tips, man. Like, what was your first size SKU that you came out with? What did you evolve with, like, and why?
All right, so the first tips that we made were going to be 8.5 millimeter fluted style. And when we made them, it was kind of more of a hobby thing. You know, I was buying at the time, I had bought some funky fill tips. Badass one, bro. It was like their first glow in the dark limited release. And I was like, all right, cool. Look, $40. I'm like, damn, well, you know, it's a tip. All right, but it's going to be a collector's tip. And I flick it out the window. And my wife's like, did you just flick that tip you just bought out the window that you were bragging about? I was like, yeah, I did. So she's like, why don't you find something less expensive then? She's like, your homies that come over, they smoke black and milds. Those tips right there, why don't you get wood tips? That's got to be less expensive than $40, you know? And I'm like, why don't I get wood tips then?
Right.
So I go on a search, bro, scoured the internet, scoured the stores. The only place you can get them is on a black and mild. I'm like, all right, cool. Well, I hit up the lawyer and I'm like, hey, bro, if we start making these, am I going to get sued by Black and Mild, or is anybody going to come after me for any kind of patents or any trademarks or anything like that? And he's like, no, we looked it up. We ran a search. No, go. You're good. They're not going to come after you as that. They're using it for their cigars. I don't even think they ever even tried to put any kind of IP on it.
Sure.
And I was like, okay. And he's like, but to be safe, sell it as a rolling tool, not a cigar holder. And I was like, well, that's what I want. That's what we're doing with them anyways. You know what I mean? We're using them to roll up. So I filed a patent with them. I put in a trademark for him, and then we put him out on the market. And he told me, he's like, you're not guaranteed to get it because it's so similar to a black and mild. You know what I mean? Even though you're using it for a different reason, it's still that similar to that product that already exists. So I'm like, okay, well, let's do it anyways. That way, at least I can start out with a fighting chance, because I'm already knowing that people are going to love these because I love them.
Right.
You know? And slowly and surely, we fought for the patent for a while, couldn't get it. He said we can hold it pending forever, but that's only going to work for so long. So we didn't pursue it, and then of course now you see them everywhere, you know, instantly with that style. Then we came out with the other style, the tubes.
Right.
They're much easier to roll. The fluted ones they're harder, you know. They've been around longer, but they're harder to roll because you only have that end of the barrel to get inside the paper. The tubes are like, all right, this will be easier. This will be easier to do. So I grabbed a dowel, a wooden dowel, right?
Sure.
And hollowed it out with a flathead screwdriver. And I'm like, all right, this looks thick enough. It wasn't thick enough. Did another one a little bit thicker. Got the hole right on the first size, which was the small ones. And I was like, this is cool. This is a lot easier for me to roll. Yeah, I feel like people want the other ones. At the time, people wanted the other ones more. You know? I had no idea that these ones were going to hit 10 times harder than the original ones.
You started with the dowel and a Phillips screwdriver.
Yeah. That's how
Bro,
I started.
I love it, man. The creativity, the innovation. I love it.
It was like, I have these ones right here that already came off the machine.
Right.
But damn, it sure would be nice just to have a straight tube, because I saw, you know, people making their paper crutches and they look dope.
Right.
And I was like, damn, how much easier would it be if I made a paper crutch and then stuck it inside of a wooden shell, and now it holds shape and you didn't have to make that circle around it.
Game changer.
Yeah, for sure. So I was just folding papers and sticking them in there at the time. Yeah. People would hit me up and be like, hey, bro, check this out. Be a badass weed leaf folded into it. And I was like, oh, shit, this is like another form of art.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Crutch art that goes inside of something. We could work with that. And that's where when the glass came in, too. Now it's like, oh, bro, I was checking out Omar's.
Right.
And I gave him some of the new 13 millimeter size, and he put his weed leaves and like diamonds in them and shit. And now you can see through.
It's true art, man.
To the inside. So normally, you know, on the woods, you can only see the outside.
Right.
But now that you got all that extra space, that's more art space.
Wow.
So now his folds go all the way through, and it looks dope. It's really tight, bro.
That's so cool, man. But you touched on this earlier when we were off the mic, was efficiency, right? Like, I don't have time to always stop and roll my paper and just do that. Like, I want to pull it out, roll it, and go. And yes, I do enjoy the process of rolling it because, you know, learning from you guys, putting all the great content of how to roll a proper doink and how to really make sure that there's enough pressure on there to get the proper combustion rate, the proper airflow. That's why I love the 11 millimeters, because that's the ratio that I personally enjoy when I get my Element XLs or their OCB experts, right? It just has to be big enough to go around the 11 millimeter tip. That's the paper that I want, right?
For sure.
Then, as I start to learn a little bit more about how it's burning, but again, it's so subjective to genetics, the cultivation, right? Like our Synganic product that's coming out of Powerhouse is so sticky, right? Like, so I have to double mill everything in order to get it to actually like be malleable enough to have that proper combustion rate and not just burn at super inefficient, awkward rates. So.
Right, with it being sticky, it almost wants to roll itself too. So sometimes it kind of helps out. That's just like there's so many variables, bro.
Yeah.
Especially on like the rolls. So some people, they want to make their own filters, and I get that because the more ridges you're going to put, the more back pressure you're going to get. You know what I mean? So if you want something that's not going to hit so hard but burn slow, you add more ridges and you get more slower pull on it. You can go straight shot if you want with no filter. As long as you roll it correctly, you're not going to get stuff in your mouth, bro.
But what about the heat? That's going to burn at a hotter temperature, right?
It will. So it just depends, though. Like, some people out there are like, oh, you can just like a hot dab. The hotter, the better. Look how much higher I'm getting. And they're ripping the joint, watching it canoe and shit. And, so touching on that, bro, like, I put together like a smoker's etiquette book guide. You know what I mean? So I took all the things that we've learned over time. And I'm like, all right, AI is cool. Let's see what happens with AI when I give it these parameters.
Yes.
Which is a lot that I've learned, a lot I've learned from watching other people as well,
Right.
Been doing it for a long time, so I've seen everybody make all the mistakes that they can make.
Sure.
And then I've seen all the good shit that comes out. So I'm like, well, let's throw this in. Because there's a lot of times people ask questions and they're like, they read the back of our shirt and it says, please don't ash before you pass. They're like, why, bro? I've been taught for the last 15 years of smoking that you're always supposed to ash before you pass. And I'm like, okay, well, we can dig deep into it and I can tell you exactly why, because I've read articles on it. Not coming from me. I didn't invent this shit. Cigar smoking's been around forever, and there's a reason they don't knock the ash off of it. So I don't want to be the guy that explains it to you and sound like, I'm trying to be a smart ass or anything. So a lot of times I'll just say, watch, just Google it. And then there's full articles on it.
Right at the top, Cigar Tech, man, they've been doing it for so long and there's purpose. It keeps the cherry cool, right? It allows for the flavor to combust. It doesn't torch the terps. And that's why, again, dude, I go back to the 11 millimeter. Like, I think that's the perfect variable of a size. But now when you start to go a little bit higher in diameter, maybe you have a genetic that has a little bit more density, so you need a little bit more airflow, right? Or if you have something a little bit airier, you probably want a tighter diameter so you can have a little bit of a controlled, slowed down combustion. So,
And then how much hash do you have in the middle of that thing? Because now we're talking, using a thicker, like on my mill, I like the very fine one.
yes.
For my regular
Is that the number
doinks.
one screen?
It's got to be the smallest one. I like that
Okay.
one. But when I'm doing a hash hole, it's like, man, I got to use the next one up.
Yep.
Or roll it absolutely perfect. And they don't always come out absolutely
It's
perfect
tough.
every roll.
Yeah.
So it's like, this one's going to be consistent with that next size up.
I love that, bro, because there's so much technique into getting a good experience with the smoke. And we talked on that during the panel as well, was single grind or single mill versus double mill or a double grind.
If you got the time, you can double it as long as you roll it right. You know what I mean? You can't double it and then roll it super tight, and then you're going to be like, why didn't it hit? But it does make a difference. It does make a difference. And then you got variables on, like, how many pounds per square inch do you think my fingers are giving this thing when I'm tucking it all the way down the end? Everybody's going to be a little bit different.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure there's a way you could robot it and mic it out how much, pounds per square inch are going down on that doink. But everybody's going to be a little bit different with a little bit different touch, a little bit different. Even though if I give them a filter that's pre-made and it's got the W, there's still other variables that control that. And whether they make their own, it's another thing. How many ridges did they put it in?
Yeah.
I've seen people put 3Ds in there. I've
Sure.
seen corn husks in there.
Yeah.
I've seen paper in there. I've seen charcoal filters in there. I've seen cotton swabs in there. I've seen corn husks in there. Like, dude, there's all kinds of shit that people have used to filter them out. So it's like, every time I see a new idea that people end up putting in there, I'm just like, man, bro, you guys are the ones that are out there creating this shit. Yeah, I could sell them with all that stuff in them.
Right.
But you know what? If I give you guys this easel to paint on, you guys are gonna make some badass shit.
Hell yeah.
So we get to see it, and then I get to kind of learn from it.
That's great, man. You've created a community within this niche area of a contributing factor of what makes a great experience for the smoke.
And shout out to all those guys, bro. Like, this is going on year 11. And some of the crazy, amazing companies I've got to work with over the time, without the tips, those doors never would have opened. You know what I mean? And it was like, at the time, I was the only one with wood tips, so it made more sense if they're coming to me. But now it's like you can go find other size, other different styles and stuff of the wood that, we help kind of pioneer. And I'm not mad at them. I'm like, cool. You guys want to take that tip and do what you guys want to do with it. If you guys need me, I'm always here.
Sure.
You know what? I'm not going to turn you away because you went this other route. I get it, bro.
Right.
There's always going to be Kroger and there's always going to be Costco. You know.
No, respect, dude. Like you've been going on year 11, and dude, this is like you've barely just started scratching the surface for what you're doing with the innovation, with the experience, with the customer service, everything, dude. Like it's easy to do business with you, and I think that's what makes the great companies last long. Right? They're not just pumping out product. You're asking for solutions and getting feedback to create the next solution for the market.
And that's kind of the reason I like to keep it on that personal level, bro. Like, so when you call customer service, our customer service number is my cell phone number.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're not going to talk to a rep that's not going to be able to explain it to you as properly as I am.
Yep.
So people trip out. They'll call and then I'll forget. That I'm just like, hello, what's up? And they're like, is this Organitips? And I'm like, yeah, this is him. And they're like, him? Oh, Dustyn, are you Dustyn? I'm like, yeah, I'm Dustyn. They're like, oh, shit. Like, I was expecting to get, an operator to send me to somewhere that was going to bullshit me around on some customer service and try to figure out a way to tell me, no, I can't return it. I'm like, no, I got you. Let me take care of you. And I feel like right now, that is huge in business, bro. I've seen a lot of big companies out there, and they wouldn't exchange it out for you. It's happened to me. I went into a certain dispensary, and I'm like, all right, I just bought both these pens. Neither one of them work. They're like, oh, well, you can try to contact the manufacturer and they might refund you. I'm like, bro, it was a couple $60 pens. I just want to swap them out. I'm not trying to,
Right.
They're like, you need to go hold of them. I was thinking, fuck it. If one of my customers asked me like that, I would instantly say, we're going to take care of you. I'll eat the cost. No big deal.
Doesn't matter.
But then again, it's tough to say, though, because if you hire someone to do that for you, they're kind of pushing to do what they think the boss would be right.
Of course. Or they've never been empowered to make that decision, right? Because that comes from the top. The leadership does not want to be able to have that kind of service.
No,
but at the same time, man, like that just goes back to general business, right? You are good at doing business because you understand the customer experience is going to bring back that consumer or that customer. That's it.
For sure.
So
you want to be treated how you treat them, So I
100%.
try to treat everybody how I want to be treated. So like when I would love to be able to call some of these companies that something happens with and like talk to the dude and then pick his brain a little bit, and I'll get caught up in conversation. And then they're just like, damn, bro, like we're all on that equal level. You know what I mean? I'm not going to talk down on anybody. I don't care if you have one follower. I don't care if you have $1 million, you have $1. Like, bro, that's how I want you to take care of me. I'm going to take care of you.
that's what it boils down to, man. So what's next, dude? Like, obviously, you've got the glass tips that just launched. Where do you want to go from an innovation perspective?
Man, because we're such a small team, it's so hard for me to find time to do it. Everybody wants a certain size, a certain length, a certain width. Inner diameter might be different. They might want walls thicker. So it's like, man, we try to accommodate everyone, but I don't know, bro. I don't know. It's just there's so much of the world now that we deal with, like countries I never would have thought I'd be sending orders out to.
Right.
You know what I mean? So every time I put a new product out, it's like, bro, this just became, I should be hiring 5 more people for this one new product. And it's still just the 5 or 6 of us, So it's tough. I would love to have the guy that's like, look, bro, you have already done all the footwork. You've created these products. We have the budget. Let's take you into every single store.
Yes, sir.
Why not, bro?
Why not?
I've always told the smoke shops, and not trying to be a salesman, but I'm like, when you got these tips in here, how many of those blunt wraps do you sell? He's like, oh, not many. How many of those do you sell? He's like, a bunch. I'm like, how many of those do you sell? And he's like, it's hit and miss. I go, well, these work with all of them. So your best seller up there, every time they come in and buy a different one, they're still going to come back to these tips. And then they buy them direct from me, and they're like, damn, bro, you were right. Those new glass ones, I tested with my local shop. I'm like, I always test them. They're the heady shop in our area. There's not many, Shout out to T-Town and Tulare. Took them a test jar in multicolor 11 millimeters just to see what was going to happen. Just gave them to them, They're like, I was like, you guys can give them away or you guys can sell them, whatever you want to do. I was like, if you guys want to test the market, though, sell them. And then called me the next day. I'm like, bro, you individually sold every single one of those tips? He's like, yep, all of them in one day. I go, okay. I guess we got something that the people like, and it's a good test. It's a good test spot because their traffic's not crazy.
Right.
Small town, you know what I mean?
Right.
So if small town is gonna move through that many tips in one day, I could just imagine if they were at every store, bro, how many we would sell.
That's the thing, though. You trust the product solution. You're willing to give them that experience, no risk. Just try it, right? And I think that's the best part about the innovators, right? You're confident about what the solution is because you have passion behind what you developed. You know that the product is what you want other people to enjoy, and that's the beautiful part about what's happening, bro. There's not too many companies that are being, or there's not many comfortable companies that are uncomfortably comfortable. Let me try it one more time. Because
Make it
whatever
make
this is,
sense.
bro, this tastes super fucking good. Take that right there, man. What is this?
It was cool. I can't even remember what he said it was.
It's tasty,
I
man.
think he said it was a lemon gelato, but he said there was not much lemon on the gelato.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's what I want to say he was. He'll correct me, but
So let me try that one again. There's not a lot of companies that are comfortable being uncomfortable because that says that you're always willing to learn and experience what that next solution is. Because not everything is going to be an evergreen product that is going to sustain the time of change, and like that's where you're doing, man. You're evolving, and again, bro, it's great to chop it up with you because we're at this awesome event, Hashhole Island. Marcos has gotten so many different perspectives of the industry in one place, one venue, from the consumer to the manufacturers to the cultivators to the hash artists, bro. Like this is dope. Like it's really cool to have everyone out here.
yeah, he's been a good dude since day one.
Yeah.
Since day one. He Bruno introduced us. And Bruno's a good guy too, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was like, all right, cool. What's up? Marcos was about his business, and then after we kind of touched base a few more times, I'm like, damn, bro, he's on that level that I want to be.
Yes,
you know
sir.
what I mean? We're thinking same vibes and shit. So that's
Yeah.
tight, man. I like what he's got going on out here, giving somebody somewhere to come chill and smoke and get to see the homies and do a little business at the same time.
Yes, sir. It's the best of both worlds, man. Like it's not work, bro. You're just chopping it up with. We're trying to work with good people. That's it, man. That's what this Connect Village is about. We like working with each other. We're building solutions, man. Like that's why this is such a cool thing that's happening right now, man. In an industry that's fractured, there's so many fragments in this space. We just want to help. We want to bring solutions together. We want to innovate together and leverage each other's solutions. Right? There's a lot of things that can come together and keep going. So,
Bro, working together is the only way. You know what I mean? Why would you want to go to war with someone when you could work together? And it's not even about war with what we're doing, bro. We're all working towards the same thing. And just for us to be able to be smoking freely like this out here, to me is dope. But I guess I'm just that age group, you know what I mean? I'm that 80s baby, so it's like what we had to go through to get where we're at now is insane, and they won't understand, which is crazy, bro, because I remember my great-grandparents saying, yeah, y'all are lucky to be able to go in there and be able to buy beers.
right.
Because we had to sneak it. And I'm thinking, watch, my kids are going to go into a dispensary one day and go buy a tree. And I'm going to be that grandpa out there going, yeah, it must be nice, huh, just to walk up in the dispensary and get that tree. Uh-huh, yeah, we used to have to sneak it.
Yeah. Oh man.
Or have a medical card, you
Or
know?
have a
I
card.
mean,
That's right.
but even the cards weren't always around. It was like a guy in our town was one of the first guys to get one of those Prop 215 cards because he legally has glaucoma and he's really fucked up. And if he doesn't smoke, it looks like his eyes are going to pop out of his head. You know what I mean? But so he was one of the first people to get one of those cards. The doctor was like, all right, you can grow 99 plants, but you had to have somebody else do it for you. I'm like, I can be that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, well, so I would be his caretaker through 215. I got my card to be able to caretake for him with 99 plants, and it was like, he had so many extra. Then that was cool. We go work 215 with the dispensaries around here. You know, so as long as you're a caretaker, then you can go basically sell weed to the dispensaries as long as you got that card. And he had so much extra, he's that much. It was like, all right, cool. And then things changed. You know, it was like, we're only going to pay so much for a pack. And if you're doing it legally and you're paying your electricity and you're paying for your full lineup of newts at $1,600, it's like, damn, you guys that's getting a little tough. Prices are going down. Next thing you know, they're like, well, now you got to have a license. And I had the tip thing going on, so I was like, you know what? I don't want to have to go into all that, you know. It was cool taking care of my boy, helping everybody out together. I mean, 99 plants is a lot. We never even did the 99.
Sure.
At 50, with just me taking care of him by myself, at 50 plants, you know, just 8 lights. It's a lot of fucking work, bro.
It's a lot, man.
Especially before automation.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man.
Oh.
Cultivation is a lot of work. It's a lot of commitment. It's a lot of devotion because shit's gonna break, things are gonna go wrong, and you gotta be there.
For
Right?
sure,
You gotta
sure.
pivot whatever the fuck you're doing, and you
Oh,
gotta be there for
man.
those plants.
Because
So
I'm-
it's a labor of love, man.
Dude,
It really is.
And then if things go wrong, like it was harder to dial shit in back then, you know? It was like my very first plants I was watering with a 5-gallon water jug, carrying it from plant to plant. And now it's like, damn, bro, when I go visit my boys in their spots, I'm just like, dude, this is like some mad scientist shit y'all got going on.
It's science,
And it's
man.
so tight to be able to test it because you'll see that graph where yield and potency and then terpenes are all at. And then they hit this peak, and then they tweak it from that peak. And then it goes up more. And then they're at that peak, and it can either go up or down, and it won't go up anymore. Now it's dialed. You know what I mean? When you can find that line to where it's like, it's peaking. We've tried 20 different other ways, and this is like the top one. It was like, now you can say it's dialed.
On that one genetic. Now let's go to the next
Yeah,
genetic,
yeah,
right? So
yeah.
let's keep dialing all these in, man.
Back in the day, to say it was dialed was like, bro, my pH strip said we were good. My runoff was looking pretty good, and that was dialed to us. You know what
That's
I mean?
it, man.
If we could hit, if you could get 3 pounds on an open-ended Raptor, bro,
Yeah.
you were fucking dialed.
Crush
With
it.
a good strain, of course.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? That wasn't happening with some cookies or something like that. It wasn't
Nope.
gonna happen.
Well, Dustyn, this has been awesome, man. Again, super stoked we got a chance to link up. I look forward to further collaborations with you, man. Like, you got a lot of cool shit. Shout out to the new, the V2, the glass tips with the filters in there. Super clean.
Let's go.
I'm stoked off these, man. Tell us a little bit about last final takeaways for Hashhole Island.
I'll be back again next year. How about you?
Same, man. Like, again, the community vibes are super high. Everybody's been super grateful over here. Just great stuff. And again, shout out to Marco, CGO. You built
Yep.
something special here, big dog. We appreciate you having us. Thank you for your collaborative efforts as well, man. We
Yeah.
appreciate you. Until next time, Dustyn, appreciate you too, G.
Thanks, Serge. Same here, bro. Thank you for having me.
Anytime, brother. Much love.
King chill. Sauce me up. Whoa, ooh, sauce me up.